right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Friday morning book group. And so good to see everyone. Thank you for joining us. It is May, and we are discussing An Officer and a Spy by Robert Harris. And this is the story of the Alfred Dreyfus affair. And first, we'll talk a little bit about the author. Robert Harris is an English author. He was born in 1957 in Nottingham, England. And he is a former journalist and a BBC television reporter. And he has written quite a bit of a very prolific writer. He's written fiction, nonfiction. One of his probably most well-known, fiction would be Fatherland, 1992. That's an alternative history first novel. It was very highly acclaimed. And then he's written several historical fiction and also nonfiction. One historical fiction that I read that I loved is Pompeii, which is about ancient Rome. Wonderful book. I thought I might do that. I don't know if anyone's read it, but we might do it with the group. It's a great book. And just a little interesting tidbit, his personal life. He is married to Gill Hornby, who is actually also a writer, a literary family. And she is the sister of best-selling novelist Nick Hornby. If anybody knows him, he's another
I've read the book.
Writer. Yeah. And they have 4 children. And and then he was inspired to write the book that we're discussing by his friend and director Roman Polanski, because of Polanski's longtime interest in the Dreyfus affair. And he's done lots of radio and TV appearances, and he's been a columnist, and just, a well-known guy. And so that's about the author. And then onto the book. So just a little history. So the Dreyfus affair took place between 1894 and 1906. Was an infamous French political scandal that has really come to symbolize injustice in France, and I think by extension, injustice really in our world today. The book follows the actual events and the people, the actual names. He follows that very close, identically, really, and this scandal caught the attention of the entire world. And in those days, of course, we didn't have digital media, and we didn't have news, instantaneous news. So you have to remember how it really went around the world in whatever form of news you had, which was the newspaper. And it was like a leading headline. So it was basically the pro-Republican, what they called the Dreyfusards, versus the pro-army, who were mostly Catholic, and those were the anti-Dreyfusards. And he talks about that in the book, of course. And Alfred Dreyfus was he was Jewish from Alsace-Lorraine, which was the German part. And this is what was lost from France in the War of 1870. And there was this paranoia in France about that, because if you were from Alsace-Lorraine, there was a lot of suspicion. And so he was like the perfect target to be a suspect as a spy for the Germans. He was Jewish, he was from Alsace-Lorraine. And so he was really kind of set up. and the stage is really set to implicate him, and then Harris sort of takes it from there. But I don't know the whole time. So as usual, we will go around the table, and everybody will have a chance to speak. And I have lots of Post-it notes, and we can add to the commentary. And but I'd love to hear what you thought about the book, and talk about the world situation and everything related to it. So, and of course, as always, you don't have to speak, only if you'd like to. So by raising your hand, I'll just call on you. Richard.
Well, needless to say, I really liked the book. When you mentioned it was about the Dreyfus affair, that really interested me, because years ago, just to give you an idea of my age, when I was in college, during the spring break, I saw a movie about the Dreyfus affair with my grandfather in Florida. So that was many years ago. I didn't remember what happened, but because it was, you're talking 40 years ago, maybe. But one thing that Sue said, the head librarian, she said, don't be afraid of a long book. Sometimes a long book doesn't mean anything, because if you like it, so what? And it didn't seem long to me, even though it was long. I could have read probably another 100 pages of the book. Mm-hmm. But the book really showed, as you said earlier, the tremendous anti-Semitism and paranoia, and it was the corruption. And you just think of so many things today that are related to it, just like what happened here with the insurrection and people sticking to their guns. It's not really what's right. It's covering their buttocks, if you want my phrase, with the fiscal plan and the Senate voting on that. It's just maybe there's still a lot of prejudice in France with Jews, so I don't think that's changed that much, to tell you the truth. Still a lot of racism. Maybe not quite as bad, because you see more minorities in power, but still, I enjoyed the book. I wanted to see what was going to happen. I'm glad I hope I'm not going to spoil the ending if I speak here, but I was a little surprised and maybe, amused when he said, well, all this time I lost, I should get back this higher position. And I would have thought, as much as I felt bad for him, that he would have been just happy to be out of jail and out of that island rather than expect that. And of course, I forget the name of I finished this book a couple years ago, the name of the colonel that was involved with
Picard.
Picard, that's it. So no, that's a long story. That can't happen. And I really felt bad for Picard too. I mean, he's doing his job. He's doing what he thinks is right. And he ended up in prison. Mm-hmm. I mean, that to me was crazy. But that's France for you, I guess. And the things that happened at the end, the guy committing suicide, who was trying to get Picard trouble, and just the corruption. The whole corruption, it just blew my mind. And the other reason I'm so happy that you picked this book is I signed up to go on a river cruise in France next year, which is Paris. So the timing couldn't be. And Rick Steves, if anybody watches Rick Steves, he had a whole thing on Paris and side trips on his show last night. So the timing was really nice.
That's great. That's great. All right.
I haven't been to France in years, so be a nice.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I hope everything is good with COVID and you can go.
I'll be able to go.
I hope so. Well, my daughter sent me something this morning from the New York Times that I haven't read it yet, but that countries are opening up now for travel, European countries. So that's good.
France had been on lockdown for a while.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Richard. Thank you for your thoughts. Okay, Anne.
Well, I think Picard was treated worse than Dreyfus at the end. I mean, Dreyfus got back all the army and stuff, and Picard, who did all that work, didn't
That's
get his job back.
It's true.
Well, he was promoted to Minister of War at the end.
At the end, I thought
Yeah,
he didn't get his. He wasn't a colonel. He lost his rank, didn't he?
No, he
Because-
was actually hey Mary. He was promoted to Minister of War.
Oh.
And then if
Okay.
you remember, Dreyfus came to see him at the very end. And it was so gratifying because Dreyfus
Yes.
said to him, he said at the very end, he said, you know, you did your duty. You did the right thing, and that's why you were promoted. You did your duty. You did the right thing.
Oh,
Even though it
okay.
was
How did
hard.
I just finished it. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
I mean, anybody
No.
correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he was promoted to. Is that
right.
Am I correct?
That's
guys?
right.
Okay.
At the very end, yeah, he got this nice office and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it. It was unexpected, truly.
Yeah.
But
But I thought it was interesting when the Tsar came, all of the security. You know, you don't think of
yes,
security back in that late
Exactly.
1800s, but they
exactly.
were worried. Of course, World War I was an assassination beginning, so
That's right.
I
That's
guess
right.
guess security is always an issue.
Always an issue. That's right. That's right. Exactly. Good. Well, thank you, Anne. Tanya.
Well, I love the book,
Oh, good.
and I like the way he described everything in detail, especially the suffering of him in Devil's Island, also the devotion of the family to him and his wife. It was just wonderful reading. And I was very upset about quite a few generals, how they were setting up the whole thing for him, you know, the papers and all that.
Right.
I'll give you one example. I think it's, if I pronounce it well, it's General Gantz talking to DeVoe, whatever,
Yeah.
Picard, the General Gantz to Picard. Am I pronouncing it
Yeah.
right?
Very good. Very good.
Well, anyways, he said to him, if one Jew stays on Devil's Island, what does it matter? You know,
I
he
know.
just talked to the way
Who
he
cares?
talked to him, the way, and I was so taken by the book and so many different details that I could talk for hours. So I recommended the book to quite a few of my friends because I just loved it. It
Oh.
was a wonderful reading, and as always, you picked the right book. So I thank you again.
Oh, Tanya, thank you so much. I appreciate your comments always. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Judy.
I had known about the Dreyfus affair, but I never really knew the whole details of it. So I found this whole thing fascinating with, you know, all this cover up and in the army. And I'm thinking to myself, well, things haven't changed.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's one point where Picard makes the comment that I can't remember what he was going to do. And he said, well, with today's technology, they can always find out what you're doing. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, you don't know what today's technology is.
I missed that.
Yeah. No, I was reading on the Kindle, and you know, sometimes you want to put a Post-it note in, but you can't
You
do that
can't.
with your Kindle.
I
And
know.
when I read a book that has foreign names in it, I have a real hard time remembering the names. I mean, Picard, I remembered, but there's a listing in the front of I ended up getting the book from the library so I could go back and
Oh,
view
good.
some of it. And then they have the list of the characters in the front, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
To me anyway, because I have such a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to say about this whole Dreyfus affair, Theodore Herzl, who was the father of Zionism, was actually a journalist covering the case in France. And after what he saw going on and all the anti-Semitism, that was what sort of spurred him on to formulate his concept of Zionism. And unfortunately, I think he died before the whole case was settled, because this went like till 1906, and I think Herzl died before that. So, but, and the other thing I would say about it is I'm a junkie for detective stories. So this sort of, fit right in, but this is true. It's not something from someone's imagination.
No.
So I did enjoy reading it, as always.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. I'm so glad. Yeah, Robert Harris. I mean, he really he sticks to the facts, but he writes in such a way that you think you're reading a thriller, and then it becomes a page turner. But it is true. Some of the reviews that people gave were a little difficult to follow the names because number one, they're foreign, and if you're not familiar with French, it's a little difficult. But great that they provided a list of them, so you could refer to it. So that's great. Good.
You're right. Herzl died in 1904. I just looked it up. So you're right, Judy.
You're right. Yeah. So, and the corruption, I mean, I was bowled over, honestly, but, hey, corruption was going on in Caesar's time, right? So, and who else would like to speak? Let's see. Anybody else? Tricia.
Well, I didn't read the book, but I'm going to read the book because I've never truly understood the Dreyfus affair, and you all have absolutely whetted my appetite for it. So
excellent.
With that, I'm going to bow out because I didn't read the whole book, but
you got to get to your bread.
My bread is set to go. Thank you for enduring that. But also thank you for your good comments. And I'm gonna get it and read it. It's gonna be wonderful summer reading.
Excellent.
Along with the bookstore in Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
bookshop in Berlin. There's lots of copies at the library. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
See you in. Thanks for coming.
June.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
It's a lot shorter.
What's that?
Looks a lot shorter than the book. The bookshop in Berlin looks a lot.
Oh, it's not a long read. And I will say the audio is very good too. It's a good narrator. I have a couple of audios also on hold on the shelf. So if anybody prefers that, I have those as well. Irene.
I had heard about the Dreyfus affair in high school before you, Richard.
You should.
I never could understand what Accused was all about with Zola's article. So it was interesting for me to read that whole. I presume was the whole thing that I was reading, and so I like the book. I was worried that it took so long to get in because I knew it was a long book, but it read fast. I finished it a week ago.
Yeah. Oh, great.
And I was very happy he had all the names in the front because I put my bookmark there and I would go back and refer. Which one is this? Oh, okay.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So that helped me keep track of the characters, but it was a fantastic book. I really liked it.
Good. Yeah, I actually started on the audio, but because of the names, I couldn't follow it. I had to go to the book. So that's one book.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big audio person, but this book,
I
couldn't do it.
I listened to most of it. I listened to most of it.
You did?
I thought the narrator was very good.
Oh, the narrator was excellent, but the story itself, it was just too difficult. Right. I couldn't follow it.
I did both. Like when I went inside and wanted to finish the chapter, then I would read it in the book.
Yeah, yeah.
I did a
Oh,
little
okay.
extra driving because of the audio.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And I
he's a
did-
good narrator. I can't
work
think
on-
of his name. Yeah, but it was a tough book for audio. But yeah. So anyway, I'm so glad everybody really liked it. That's great. Tom, I know you're
David-
there, but we don't
David
see you.
Rintal was David Rintal was his name.
It was? Oh, I don't remember that name, but maybe so. Could be. Tom, I know you're there. Do you want to talk? Nothing. Okay. I guess he doesn't want to. All right. Well, I guess we will end a little bit early today, which is perfectly fine. I'm so glad everybody enjoyed the book. Unless anybody wants to discuss further, we have a little bit of a small group today. Richard?
One thing I did mention, I listened to it on tape. One thing that I guess was very evident during this time period was the affairs that various people had with other women. That was very pronounced in this book, you know. The narrator, what's his name? Picard was one of the people that was seeing this. And that created quite a stir.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he ended up divorcing her, didn't he? The original?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
ending the-
Philippe. Yeah.
and it
But
was
Picard
very-
didn't want to, they didn't get married, he and Pauline. They just, they just stayed together.
They were
She didn't
together
wanna
at that big ceremony when Russia came to, I forget what Russia was in for. He and Pauline went to some event that Russia was invited for. I forget what that was in the middle of the book. You know what
Yes,
I'm talking-
right. I don't remember.
The parade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was this bizarre
Yes.
to visit.
but it was evident in other families. I guess that was big back then, or is that a European thing, or is that?
It's a international thing. Come on, it's been going on forever.
Forever.
But not as pronounced.
Yeah, but it's
I
not,
don't know.
Really?
It's
I
no
know,
different. It's no different
no
now.
media.
It's no different now. Is it?
There was a lot less media in those days.
That's
I
right.
mean, you didn't air your dirty laundry.
That's right.
I guess
That's
the
right.
dirty
did happen.
laundry-
That's right.
I guess
I mean,
the dirty
even
laundry is more
in-
accepted
I
now.
mean, think about it. Even in 1960 with JFK, we didn't have
Oh,
the digital
that's
that
true.
we have now. If we had the digital that we have now, can you imagine? I mean, can you really?
Wow.
What we would have known.
well, even his father.
Even his
had
father,
affairs
of course,
as well.
of course. He
Yeah.
wouldn't have been the
Yeah.
knight in shining armor that we looked at him as, right? So,
Debbie,
That's the way
I also would like to give credit to Emil Zola, what he
Oh,
did
yes.
for the Dreyfus affair.
absolutely.
That
That's
was
the part I
amazing.
never
I mean,
knew.
he fought to the end.
Yeah, fought to the end.
was-
I
He
mean,
went to jail too, which I hadn't realized.
I'm sorry.
He went to jail too, which I hadn't.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, you're right.
And you
Couple
have to
couple
just,
different jails.
you have to so admire those passionate thinkers.
Right.
You know, they were all in. They were all in, and they were willing to give their lives,
Right.
for the right thing. And we, I just thought of today, and we have people like, I mean, the situation, I just kept thinking about the insurrection and Trump and how it just reminded me so much
Yeah.
of the cover-ups and
Yeah.
how we need people like that. Now that's what we need. People willing to step up.
That's
And
why.
this business with the police commissioner, it's crazy.
Oh, yeah, White, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
He said, she said, how do you ever prove it?
Yeah. And Walsh he's gone. He's out. So
Well, they're very angry at him because they're saying that he knew about this.
yeah, but
it's crazy.
protected because he's like, I'm gone. You know, I don't know. Who knows?
Well,
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
They keep saying the
According to
oldest police
newspapers-
force in the United States. I never knew that. Boston. I never knew that.
Yeah.
We're the oldest police force in the United States.
Yeah. Did you ever read Given Day?
Oh,
by-
Dennis Lehane?
Yes.
No, I haven't read it.
Oh, that's amazing. The Bolsheviks in 1920 and the police force was all Irish and they were crooked as a day is long.
Oh, yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. Dennis Lehane, he's a very, very prolific author. We could do a book we could do one of
Yes.
his books.
I
The
did.
Given Day is very long, but it's very interesting because I'm not from Boston, so I knew nothing of that stuff.
Ah,
With
yeah.
it's extremely interesting.
That's
Oh.
part of, that's a 3-book series. I read the second and third book of that series.
No,
Oh,
The Given Day is a standalone book.
And I'm pretty sure it's part of a three books.
No. Whatever.
well, all right.
It's long.
Well, any other comments or anybody else like to say anything?
I did not read the book, but I'm looking for a good summer read, and I heard Page Turner, and I like
This will take-
nonfiction. This sounds like a really good book. I look forward to reading it.
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it, Mary. It's good. It's very good. He's good. He's great. I was telling the group before I read Pompeii, which is excellent about ancient Rome, and it's also like he writes like a thriller, but it's historical fiction about the eruption of Vesuvius, you know, the volcano,
Wow.
and it's a cover-up also. It's so good. It's
Oh, really?
really good.
Oh, wow.
Really good, yeah. And then he writes a trilogy, which I haven't read, the Imperium trilogy, which I want to read, and maybe we'll do some of that. Would folks be into ancient Rome? Right. All right. Well, next month, as I said, we're doing a memoir, a primary source written during the war. So, bookshop in Berlin. And we do have copies. So if no one else has any comments, we will close. And I hope everybody has a good rest of the month.
I'll send you the list, Tanya.
Debbie,
Yeah.
I have a favor. I'm going this afternoon to my hairdresser, and it's
Yeah.
just across the street from the library.
Yeah.
Could you set up a book for me so I can pick it up then?
Oh, of course. So you're going to come into the main library
I'm going to come in like, say, around 2 o'clock or so.
to the Talbots one where
To the
main-
150 Central.
Okay, great. Well, I'm working at the little library today. I'm working at the Hills Library. So if you come into the main library on Central, there's lots of copies behind the reference desk. So just tell whoever's there, just tell them you're in the book group and she'll give you a copy.
Great.
There's lots of
So
copies.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Thank
Sure,
you.
absolutely. All right. All right, guys. Well, you guys all have a good rest of the day, and hopefully I'll see you all soon.
Happy summer.
All right. Happy summer.
Thank you.
All be well. All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.